Hi, thank you for watching. This is Wally Hauk, and I want to talk to you about Think, Behave, and Improve. And I've got a blog for you. Think, Behave, Improve. How does an optimal leader think? How does an optimal leader behave? How does an optimal leader improve? I want to talk to you today about dissolving problems. Have you ever had the experience where you thought you solved a problem, but only to see it return? We've all experienced this. Very frustrating. How can we reduce this frustration? How can we reduce the amount of times that a problem might return? And that's what I want to share with you. What's the best strategy to use to do that? In March of this year, 2017, the United States Congress failed to pass a bill to repeal and replace Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. The media reported numerous reasons for this failure, but and most of the reasons is blaming others. That's what they did. They were looking for a culprit. It's very popular to look for a culprit as a strategy for dissolving a problem, and focusing on who caused the problem. Even though it's very popular, it is also unsophisticated. You heard me, unsophisticated. It's popular because it's easy, and it helps us avoid personal responsibility. It also helps us to look at the actual root causes. So how can we avoid this blame and focus on the root causes instead? Here's the answer. Focus on the first 15%. Focus on the beginning. I recently painted a bathroom a couple of weekends ago, and taking extra time, what did I do? I carefully taped the trim to allow me to help do a quality job faster. I spent time on the first 15% of the job, which was namely the taping. It helped me to save time overall. Dr. W. Edwards Deming gives us a hint about this. He says the secret for reduction in time of development is to put more effort into the early stages and to study the interaction between the stages. And that's the answer to dissolving problems, making sure they don't come back. Here's another example. I love this metaphor. A number of years ago, a mild-mannered meteorologist, professor at MIT, was simulating weather patterns by entering data into a computer program and making a prediction about where the hurricane would go. He decided that he didn't need the detail in the decimals. He dropped the last three decimals of the data that he entered, the 10,000, 100,000, and millions of decimals. He dropped that from the data, thinking it's unimportant. Well, after the calculation by the computer, he was astonished to see how dropping very small effects had an enormous impact on the outcome of the simulation. The effect became known as the butterfly effect. I love this metaphor. The butterfly effect, what is it? It's astonishing. The claim is that a butterfly flapping its wings in New York will impact the atmosphere in a way that it will change the direction of a typhoon in the Pacific. In other words, very small changes at the very beginning of a process will make an enormous change in the outcome. So focus on the first 50% first. Typical managers use a very different strategy. They ask questions about people, who did this, who did that. They ask questions about fixing the issue. What shall we fix? When shall we fix it? Who's going to fix it? They're assuming that they can fix the problem. They make progress, but it's really not true. All it does is it brings you back to where you were before. The typical manager, for example, uses the typical performance appraisal to attempt to solve problems in their organization. This action rarely gets to the root cause because it's not focusing on the first 50%. Instead, it's focusing on employee behavior, which are really symptoms of what the problems are. I could focus on being very careful not to get the paint on the trim. And my wife could tell me, oh, you better be really careful. But because I focused on covering the trim, my first ability was to be very careful, and therefore there was less criticism. We must remove the root cause, and we can only do that by looking in the right place. We must look at the beginning of the process. Deming says we must focus on the 0th stage, the first 15%. Peter Drucker said it differently. He said progress is obtained only by exploiting opportunities, not by solving problems. When you solve a problem, all you do is guarantee return to normalcy. So it's likely Congress could choose it's likely Congress chose the incorrect strategy in the first place. And if they had instead chosen a different strategy or spent more time on the strategy in the beginning, they might have had a different outcome. So when improving a process, identify all the steps that are needed to be completed to achieve the intended outcome. Spend most of your time on the very beginning. Make sure that the project is clear. Make sure that the team is aligned. You will achieve an excellent outcome. Thank you for watching.